Hey there, guys. Sean Michael here from WinBeta. And welcome back to episode 57 of the WinBeta podcast for the week of March 18th, 2016. With me is co-host Zach Bowden. As always, how you doing, Zach?
Hey there, everybody.
And this week we talk about all sorts of stories. If you've been tuned to the Microsoft-related news, you'll know that the show is going to have a very heavy dose of Windows 10 Mobile, so brace yourself for that. But we have some other stories as well, like Windows 10, extensions, Xbox news, app news. It's actually kind of big app news, in my opinion. So there's that, and that's great. But first, before we dive into the stories, how you doing this week, Zach?
Not too bad. How are you?
You know, I'm pretty good. Riding high. I had a big trip to Glasgow over last weekend, so I'm still riding high from that. It's great.
I've got a trip next weekend, which reminds me, the podcast next week will be done from a different location for me, I think.
Woo!
If I can do
Actually,
it, that is.
Is next week Easter weekend?
Yes.
It'll be from a different location for me too.
It'll be Easter Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Good Friday, Easter Friday.
Yeah, I'll be at my fiance's family's place. So, fans, you get to see us in two different locations at the same time.
Indeed, it will be very exciting.
Someday we'll have green screens, and then no one will ever know if we move location. I'll just get a recording of this, and then we'll green screen this.
Yeah, so we're always in the same place.
Or my fiance's kitchen, either one.
You know what? We should dive into this week's news, because there is a lot of news this week.
That's true.
Beginning with build 14291 for desktops and mobile, which was kind of interesting, because I didn't notice the mobile build had been released. I just saw the desktop announcement and I was like, oh yeah, new desktop build. Didn't notice a mobile build had been released until a little bit later. But yes, desktop and mobile build had been released this week. Build 14291 is notable because it includes support for extensions on Edge. Hooray, they're finally here. And and they're not too bad. Right now there are 3 extensions to test, because right now this is the testing phase for Edge extensions. You have to sideload them for them to actually run. When extensions are actually ready for consumer use, they will be handled via the Windows Store, which Microsoft has already confirmed.
I'm here. Continue going.
So extensions. The mouse. There's a mouse gesture, a Bing Translate. I keep calling it Bing. It's Microsoft Translate, and a Reddit Enhancement Suite extension. All of them are great, but the best one is the mouse gestures one. I really like
that mouse gesture app, man.
Yeah, the mouse gesture one is really cool. So pretty much what you do is you use your mouse, you right click on a page and do a gesture, and it will do a certain function. So for example, close all tabs except the current one that you're in, or open a new tab, or whatever else. It's actually really cool and very power user like. So if you're a power user, you'll definitely enjoy that. There are more extensions coming, and I'm pretty sure developers are working on porting their extensions right now, even though Microsoft hasn't released any documentation on how to do it, or not much documentation. So it's very exciting. Not only that, but build 14291 includes an updated Maps app, which now has an updated turn-by-turn navigation UI, which is for mobile, and just an overall UI update. There are more features coming to the Maps app, because when Here Maps, which I think we're talking about later, right? Here Maps is going away soon on Windows Phone, but when that news broke, I said on Twitter that there were more updates to the built-in Maps app for Windows 10 that are coming that will improve the app greatly. And this week we saw the first, I'm going to say half of those features. But there were more features that are still to come that did not show up in this release, which I thought they did because the UI did. So there's a new UI for Maps, which is pretty much what's my point there.
Right.
And I think that's pretty much it for that. But the Feedback Hub, which I think I spoke about last week. The Feedback Hub is now in this build, which is the Insider Hub and the Feedback app in one. Very nice indeed. So try that out as well. And so that's pretty much it for 14291. On the mobile side, the Alarms app was updated, although that's the same for
that
desktop.
Alarms app.
And it's updated on desktop as well, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's build 14291, a very feature-filled build, which is rare these days, especially with Redstone. How many Redstone builds have we had now? And only a few of them have had any notable changes in.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this one, we're starting to get to the point where the features are actually there's at least like one cool thing to look at. Like this one had extensions and maps. That's a big deal in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty cool on extensions. These seem. I don't think apps are going to get ported as heavily as extensions are, because I think web developers are going to put extensions. That's just my guess. Because I know they both take work, but from the sounds of it, porting an extension is easier than porting an app. Because we had a story this week that came out and it said that there's a Chrome extension porting tool for Microsoft's Edge browser in the works. So there's some from Twitter. I'm trying to get his official credentials, but I can't find them on the article. Sorry. Lots of questions on this. Yes, we're working on a porting tool to run Chrome extensions in Edge, not yet finished and not all APIs supported. But if you remember last week, there was a story on someone, I think, basically took an Edge extension and then tried running it straight in Chrome and noticed that it worked over 99% efficient. So they don't seem super different, which is a good thing because, like I said, we've talked about this before. Any amount of work is too much work for some people. So if it's that close, that's great. So I think the porting tool is a big deal. I think extensions are a big deal. We'll get more into the maps thing a little bit later in the show, but very good timing by Microsoft. As soon as the Here Maps news dropped, they had news about their own Maps app. Very good timing.
Well, it's funny because the Maps app updates have been in the planning for a while, but it really is convenient timing that they would push that update. It's almost like they were waiting.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I think they must have known that Here Maps were going to pull out at some point. Once Here Maps started moving over to Android and iOS, Microsoft probably knew that it wasn't going to last much longer, and that's fine. We're diving into the Here Maps thing, but I didn't care about Here Maps at all.
No, we'll get in. Yeah, like I said, that's not going to be a very long part of the show, but yeah, I don't have a car. So I never got to use maps for turn-by-turn directions. I hear it's very bad at turn-by-turn driving directions.
I don't think it is.
Really?
I mean, I didn't like get lost using the Here Maps. The built-in Maps app.
Can the Maps app on mobile now? Is it going to use Cortana's voice?
I don't know. It didn't for me. Oh, did it? I don't remember. It was a long time ago now. It was Windows Phone 8.1, so I guess it's changed.
Anyway, I think the big new changes to the Maps app. There's, like you said, some are already out, some are coming. I think that's a big deal.
Maybe it was Here Maps. I don't remember.
I think extensions are a bigger deal, in my opinion.
Yes.
But,
you know what else is getting updated at some point in the future? I say some point because I have no idea when this is coming. But the Photos app, which most people will argue is kind of lackluster on Windows 10 right now.
Good for looking at things, not great for other stuff.
Yeah, it's getting some more updates at some point during the Redstone development cycle. Just like the Maps app, which we saw the first few features arrive this week, the Photos app will also be getting some updates very soon. These updates aren't really new features, but just features that are coming from other areas of the Microsoft ecosystem. So the OneDrive tagging, is it like intelligent search, I think they call it? So
it's OneDrive, really cool.
On OneDrive, if you take pictures of people, for example, OneDrive will look at those pictures, recognize people that you have in your contacts list or something, and categorize those into albums, so you can see all these albums with all these certain people in them quite easily. That same functionality is coming to the Photos app. So the app will basically just analyze all your photos. Of course, you can turn it off so the NSA won't attack you or anything. But you can turn the app will scan your photos, and you can tell the app to learn a photo of somebody. So you can say this person is Olivia, for example, and every single time a photo you upload to OneDrive or upload to your computer is if there's Olivia in your photos, then the Photos app will say, okay, so here's Olivia, let's put her in the Olivia album, or put Jonathan in the Jonathan album, for example. There are also updated editing tools. The ability to draw on photos is coming, which is very nice. I know that's something many insiders have been asking for. And more editing options for the mobile side of things, because the Photos app on mobile, although it has a few editing options, isn't exactly...
yeah, it's not
up to par with the desktop version.
It's very light.
Yeah, it's not bad, this update. I like I said, I don't know when it's coming. It'll come within the Redstone development cycle, but whether it's ready for Redstone 1 or Redstone 2, I don't know, but it's coming. So, yay.
Yeah, I remember when OneDrive announced the smart searching tool, the intelligent, photo search. It is really cool. Like, it's not, I thought it would be relatively simple, like you said, face tagging, which obviously I wouldn't say is simple, but it's something we've already figured out, face tagging. Like, that's a technology we've had for a while. But it's pretty smart. It can do things like if you type in something as simple as food, it will find multiple different types of food. It'll like, I don't know how, but it's figured out what food looks like. So whether it's a chicken dish or a noodle dish, it still recognized it as food, which might sound kind of silly, but it worked. I think it worked with things like tree and just, other items. So with photo search, if you took a vacation photo album and you wanted to search for every time you saw a wolf, maybe there's a point where you're going to get, oh yeah, I remember when we we went to Yellowstone and we saw all the geysers, and so let's show me those. That's pretty cool, actually, and I'm glad, like you said, they already have it, so why not put it in there? It's pretty neat.
Yeah, very cool indeed. So yeah, that should show up at some point. There are also, like I said, there's other updates coming to the Maps app at some point. Obviously, we already know the messaging app is getting updated with SMS, MMS, and RCS support. Yeah, so a lot of apps are being updated along throughout the Redstone development cycle. Yeah.
These are all part of the features that'll blow your mind that were teased.
I don't know. I doubt these kind of features are. I think what they were talking about is something. I'm actually quite interested in what they were referencing, because
I almost put that in the story show, or in the show's stories, but we don't have any details on it.
No, I mean, I'm gonna say what they're. Because I don't know of any features coming in Redstone 1 that will be that, like how they were hyping it up. I don't. Maybe it's just me, but it's not everything. Redstone 2 is more of the wow thing. But
who are they hyping it to, though? Because you and I and our listeners are more versed in what we already know is coming. A feature that would blow someone's mind who had no knowledge of what's coming in Redstone could be text messaging from your computer.
Oh, true. You're absolutely right.
Like, if you had no idea that was coming, that would blow your mind.
And even then, that is kind of a pretty cool feature still.
Right.
I mean, I can't wait for it.
I think some of the features that you know about, but I mean, Surface Book came out of the blue, kind of, mostly, and that sort of thing. So yeah, they're getting better at keeping some of these things secret, which is surprising based on how many leaks there are.
Yeah, like I said last week, I think I said last week. I've been told that there are a few surprises awaiting at build. I was also told the same with the Windows 10 devices thing with the surprise Surface product, which was the Surface Book. So I guess that is a reliable rumor. We should see.
Yeah, we shall see. There was a big. There's your story, Zach, but I think this is a bigger story than it didn't seem to get a lot of traction, but I think it's a pretty cool story, and it's about the Xbox and cross-platform stuff.
Yeah, Microsoft surprisingly announced cross-network play for the Xbox One and other platforms. Obviously, what this basically means, in short, is that Microsoft is inviting PC gamers or PC developers and PlayStation 4 games and developers and players to play games in a shared network. So Xbox One players can play the same game as a PlayStation 4 person or a PC person, and vice versa. But this is only if the developers of the other games want this. So if Sony says we don't really want this, we don't care, then this won't happen between Xbox and PlayStation 4. If PC says yeah, sure, then it will happen between Xbox. Cross-play between Xbox and PC has been a thing for a long time, and PS4 and PC. But the big deal here is between Xbox and PlayStation. Sony has said sure, but I think they've pretty much said this. They're like, yeah, but this might not be in the best benefit business-wise, which makes sense. Obviously, if you're sharing your games with a rival platform, you're losing out to potential customers, technically.
Right.
But I'm not sure how this will go, because obviously developers have to develop it into their games and all that stuff. And I think Rocket Jump has announced it for Xbox and PC. Again, there has been no announcement between Xbox and PlayStation 4 yet, although the potential is there. So I guess we will just have to. I can see games like Call of Duty doing this, perhaps.
Some of the ones that are just across everything.
Yeah, but other than, I mean, I'm not seeing every game do this.
No, well, what would they argue about, Zach? If they could play together and do everything together.
I would love this, only because I would love this feature to be a thing and to come to all major games, only because I want there to be Xbox One versus PlayStation 4 playlists. So
yeah, that would be awesome.
That'd just be chaos for everybody involved, and I'd love it. Because whenever an Xbox team would win, it'd be like, yeah, that's because we got the better console with the better controller.
Or someone would be like, yeah, we're on the Elite controller. How about, do you have Elite controllers? And then they'd be like, no, we're purists. We play on these controllers.
Team says, go on, Sean.
Well, they'd be like, we beat you, and we could see it in like 3 frames per second better. Because like the PS4 guys, they'd be trash talking, and they'd be like, oh, the graphics were better, and then like half of them wouldn't even know that you could actually, they probably couldn't even see it.
Tino says that Xbox gamers can't play with PC gamers because of the keyboard and mouse thing, because everybody knows playing with a keyboard and mouse is more precise. Microsoft is bringing keyboard and mouse support to the Xbox anyway, so it's a fair game if you want it to be.
Controllers
and you can use controllers on PC, which I do. Because
I think they would have to figure out some sort of way where online matchmaking was dependent upon what controller you were using.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely a thing. It'd be like, this is a mouse and keyboard playlist only, or this is a controller only.
We don't care what you're on. If you're on a PC, Xbox, whatever. If you're on a controller, you're in this, matchmaking, and if you're on a keyboard and mouse, you're on that matchmaking.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think this would be great. So hopefully you get some of this cross development stuff, and people stop fighting so much, and people start getting along more. Because, if you love the PlayStation 4 because of certain exclusive games, or you like the Xbox One because the Media Hub stuff or other exclusive games, but you both love Call of Duty, you should be able to play with each other, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
2016, we don't need to hate each other so much.
You know what's going to be next? Apple announces cross-platform apps for Windows.
I'm pretty sure Apple announcing cross anything is nothing.
Oh yeah, I wonder how long that will last for Apple, because we're entering a phase in which everything's shared now between Google. Although Google doesn't seem to be sharing with Microsoft.
Yeah,
Google shares with Apple.
Relationship.
Google shares with Apple, and Microsoft shares with Google and Apple. But Apple shares with nobody.
And Google only shares with Apple.
Yeah.
And Microsoft gets nothing.
Microsoft does get nothing. It's true. Microsoft doesn't get anything from anyone.
Microsoft gives everything in other directions and gets nothing in return.
That's why they're third and not first anymore.
I don't think that's why they're third, but I think it helps keep them in third.
Yeah. Poor Microsoft. They're getting pushed about now. Remember when Microsoft was the biggest tech company in the world?
It's still up there.
It's third. It's not first.
Oh no, they're only number. I wish I could be so good at something. Like, if I played a sport and they're like, oh man, Sean, he's only the 3rd best football player in the world. I'd be like, yeah, I'm really slacking off. I used to be the top player.
But right, if you were the top player, you want to keep that for as long as possible.
I suppose that's true, but
Also, why isn't Windows 10 called Windows 1? Well, everything they're doing, they missed. They should have done Windows 1.
Yeah, it should have just Windows 1 with letters. Yeah, should have been. Xbox One, Windows 1, OneDrive.
Just, it makes sense, Microsoft. God damn it, your marketing team is stupid. Right, let's move on.
All right, so we got the big story, the big kahuna is Windows 10 Mobile. Interesting note, Zach. Have you noticed we actually have more live listeners today than any other week, even though there's this daylight savings time shift.
Maybe it benefits us.
Very intriguing, because we're an hour off from where we usually are for our American listeners, and we have more listeners.
Maybe it's just because Windows 10 Mobile launched.
It could have been. It could be that. Anyway, so Windows 10 Mobile launched this week. We have quite a few different angles to look at this. So if you hate Windows 10 Mobile, we'd love you to stick around, but just a heads up. Because we're talking about all sorts of different angles. But to get through the nitty-gritty of what happened, development cycle of Windows 10 Mobile, obviously we've known about the preview for a very long time. It was running on insider builds for a very long time, but obviously those are insider builds. Eventually it transitioned to certain devices like the 950, 950 XL, and the 650 were officially running Windows 10 Mobile, but it was not publicly available for other devices. We've had months of is it going to release and delay, release, delay. Well, on March 17th, 2016, it came, it arrived, it is launched, it is officially launched for a very large number of devices, but as we will get into, not every device that people expected, and it has indeed officially launched. We have a lot of coverage. I don't think we're going to run through absolutely everything here, but we have articles on what you lose when you update. We're going to have hands-on Windows 10 Mobile, all sorts of things of what you gain, the new layouts, all that sort of thing. But we're really talking about the news that broke this week that we haven't already known about. Because we've been using Windows 10 Mobile for months, you and I, as many of our listeners have. But the fact that 512 megabyte devices won't be receiving the upgrade, Zach, that's news.
Well, it's news in the sense that Microsoft kind of confirmed it, but they did say before that some 512 megabyte devices wouldn't be getting it. And also those devices with 4 gigabytes of internal storage wouldn't be getting it. So that's still in place pretty much. What is surprising, though, is pretty much most of the Lumia X2 series, so like the 620, the 820, the 920, they're not getting Windows 10 Mobile officially. And that's kind of big news because Microsoft didn't say this at all. No matter throughout the entire program, Microsoft did not say that old Lumia handsets would not be getting Windows 10 Mobile. So it makes sense for a few people to be upset with Microsoft when they came out yesterday and said, "Oh, Windows 10 Mobile's here. Oh, and thanks for testing, but you're not getting it officially."
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty much what they said. And Gabe says, Gabriel All on Twitter, he says, he sees it as if he sees it like the feedback we received from insiders is the result of this, because obviously insiders running Windows 10 Mobile on these older handsets were submitting feedback saying this is slow, too many loading screens, performance is laggy, buggy, etc., etc. So Microsoft went, okay, this is what the people are saying, we can't release this.
And now everyone that complained on Twitter, everyone that complained in the feedback app 24/7 is kicking themselves because they don't get the official update.
Right. I mean, but people still seem to not realize, and I've said this many times, the insider release preview ring is pretty much the same as production. It just gets builds earlier. So if you, I believe, air quotes, unsupported devices can still hook up to the release preview ring and download Windows 10 anyway. So
yeah,
you can...
I'm sure. Well, honestly, how did they get this data? By people running the preview software.
Right.
Which means people can run the preview software.
You can still get Windows, but the build that's in the release preview ring isn't a preview build, it's the full production build. So you can use that ring to jump up to Windows 10, reset your phone if you really want to, or you can just drop out of the Insider program via the Insider app, and you can have Windows 10 for the next year. Whether or not those devices will get Redstone is another story.
Right.
It's unlikely, but I don't know. Maybe once Redstone is pushed to the current branch, it will go through the release preview ring. So maybe you might get lucky. Microsoft may not say it officially, but you may get lucky.
Well, I'm sure you'll test it.
Yeah,
I mean, let's see. What are some of the weird, funky devices you've managed to get running Windows 10 mobile?
A Samsung, a TVS.
Yeah, exactly.
A Lumia, a Lumia 820, but that was supported. A Lumia 530 I got running at one point a while ago. Yeah, and that was a 4 gigabyte device, so it was possible at some point. So we shall see.
So Zach, the question that's coming out here, and honestly, we should probably flesh this discussion out because people in the comments have pretty strong opinions, and I've seen people on the web here, is basically, did Microsoft break a promise when it came to Windows 10 Mobile? So some people are pointing to like a tweet that was in 2014 about, they're saying that they're planning to ship it to all Lumia devices or all Windows Phone devices. But when we got the official lists, as you said, there were some very notable phones missing. The ever popular 520, the 920, the 1020, which those 1020 users, not only do they not get a successor to the 1020, but the 1020 doesn't get Windows 10 Mobile. This certainly is not akin to the transition from Windows Phone 7 to Windows Phone 8. It's not like that, because obviously this list is fairly long, including some low-end devices like the 430, 435, 532, 535. Those lower-end devices are getting updated, but some of the older devices aren't. So I don't think it's the same as that one. But there are customers left out. And you and I kind of disagreed on this a little bit, but I do see where you're coming from. Let's get we were talking about this in the pre-show. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm more for the people, I think, in this position. Although I'm technically fine, in the sense I have a 950 XL. This doesn't affect me in any way. But if I still had my 820 as the only phone I've ever used, and I didn't care about performance, this would be an issue for me, this whole announcement thing. Because I was able to upgrade from Windows 8.1 to Windows 10, the early preview builds back in whenever it was, in 2014 or early 2015, right. I think it was. So I was able to test. I was able to receive bills full of bugs and problems and just major issues here, there, and everywhere.
So you put in the legwork.
I put in the legwork, and then at the end of the day, when it's finally polished and clean and ready to go, they say, "Oh, yeah, you're not getting the final product. Thanks for helping us build it, though." Which is like, well, that's not really nice, is it? Because I can see that the phone is able to run it. I've got it on the screen right now. Although it is slow, you're correct. Microsoft has poorly worded how they say these devices are unsupported, because as I said, the release previewing still works. Microsoft just said, right, we're not pushing it officially because we want to make it an option for insiders or people who want to run Windows 10 on an older handset. You can still use the release preview rig to get Windows 10 now. We're just not going to push it via the upgrade advisor, as feedback has suggested there are multiple problems that we have not been able to fix. Microsoft should have just said that and everybody would have been fine with it. Instead, They had to say, oh, these old handsets, we're not supporting them no more. If you're running Windows 10 now, you might not have Windows 10 in the future, or whatever it is they said. That is just, they've gone about it wrong with this.
Yeah, I would also say it depends on what type of customer you are. You know, some people, when the new phones come out, they get a new phone. As soon as the 950 was announced, they got a 950. And then when a Surface phone comes out, they'll get that too. And that's, a really good way to be on the cutting edge of software. But, that's not the only type of phone user out there. So I admit that in the past, I've been more that direction where I kind of get a new phone. But honestly, as I get older, you're kind of like, I don't want to buy a new phone. My old one works. And if you got a high-end phone at the time, and then it doesn't get supported, and you sit there and say, man, I spent a lot of money on this device. If there was a key flagship missing, I can understand someone being upset. So like the 1020 was pretty expensive when it was new. And it is old, but it's not like ancient. And like you said, these people were on the preview build. So you've actually kind of changed my mind. Because I'm not like angry. Like we were talking about this before. If there's like an anger scale, there's like the OneDrive scandal where they were going to take away free storage. And then there's like if Microsoft canceled Xbox, that's obviously very angry. And then there's like this. I'm not angry, but I can empathize with people that are upset about this because, also what if you're in budget, just anywhere there's a budget economy, the 520 was really popular, and that's not getting it. It's still one of the most popular devices that they've ever sold, and it's not going to get it.
And you could run the insider preview on it up until yesterday. Right,
and that's what I mean. They probably, if anyone had a 520 and looked at, they went on WinBeta and they said, oh man, this is coming out. And then they saw the headline. It's Evlix confirms that Windows 10 Mobile is launching tomorrow. And they go, sweet. Oh, I didn't want to do a preview, but it's going to come here officially. I'm really excited. And then it's like, oh, never mind. So I could see them being upset.
Yeah, and like I said, the release preview, I'm going to keep saying it, you can get Windows 10 via the release preview.
Yeah, that's important. Anyone within the sound of our voice, listen to Zach. You can still get it if you want it.
Yeah, if you really want it. It is slow and it is buggy, but you can get it if you really want it.
Small side story.
I'm more cross with Microsoft about how they're releasing Windows 10 Mobile for devices that are supported. Because it's not coming as an official over-the-air update.
Let's talk about that, actually.
That you can push. They haven't pushed it out, so everyone's getting it. You have to manually apply for it, which means nobody's going to download it still. Nobody that's... If you're versed in the Microsoft world, then sure. But if you're not versed in the Microsoft world, you're not ever going to download this. Why would you?
So what do you have to actually physically do?
You have to go to the Windows Store, which most of you probably don't use if you're a non-techie using Windows Phone 8.1 anyway. Open the Windows Phone Store, search for the Upgrade Advisor app, download the Upgrade Advisor app, then run it. And then it says, okay, the phone is ready to update to Windows 10. Are you ready? You press next, and then it does another check. And then it says, okay, tick this box, and you can now have Windows 10 Mobile. You tick the box, you press okay, the app closes, then you have to check for updates. So you have to open the settings app. I think it checks for updates automatically, but you have to go to the settings, check for updates. Then it downloads, and then obviously you have to press install, accept the terms and agreement, etc., etc. It is a ridiculous process for something that can just be pushed automatically. Now, I know why they haven't done this, because obviously Windows 10 Mobile still is a little bit rough. But I just... If at some point they turn this around and make it an official thing so that they just push automatically, that's fine. But if they are keeping this method, then there was no point in releasing it at all this way.
It's almost, honestly, I think there's less steps to become a Windows insider than that.
Yeah, yeah, you just download the app.
I actually think it would be quicker for you to go Windows Insider app, store Windows Insider app, click register for the ring you want, and then hit update.
This is the same method as using the production ring in the Insider app. So what you would do if you're in Windows 10 8.1 right now and you wanted to use the Insider method to get Windows 10, you'd go to the release preview ring, you'd select that, install Windows 10, then open the Insider app again and just hit production. Done. That's the exact same thing as what Microsoft is doing with the Upgrade Advisor app. People seem to think that downloading the builds from the Insider app is giving them a preview or a pre-release or kind of like a not finished version. It's identical. It's the same thing, because I said this on Twitter yesterday and people were saying, yeah, but it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel official. What does that mean? It's the same thing. It doesn't feel anything. It's the same build.
Yeah.
It's just people. I just don't understand people.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it is the same, but some people like that feeling.
What feeling? What feeling are you getting from using the Upgrade Advisor?
Do you want me to call you out, Zach? When Windows 10 official came out, didn't you make this big thing to make sure you had a certain type of license?
Right, but that's because we didn't understand how the licensing works at the time. But now we understand. If I understood how it works, I wouldn't have cared.
All right, because I remember you spent like a lot of time making sure you had a specific type of license.
But once the licensing thing was explained, I didn't. It doesn't matter.
Well, never mind. But yeah, I think that's absurd. Do you think there's going to be a point where they push this as a standard update?
Once Windows 10 Mobile is good enough, yeah. Hopefully, I don't know.
What if Redstone is the first one where it comes as a normal update?
That would be nice, actually, because Redstone is fixing a lot of things.
This could be a good compromise between what we said last week and what we're saying what actually happened. It's the delay it till Redstone because then you're announcing new features and it publicly rolling out and no longer being unreleased. This is like the perfect compromise.
This is them pleasing the people who are moaning and still doing what they wanted to do anyway.
Because my friend that has a Lumia 630, which I actually have one, amazingly enough. So my friend that has a Lumia 630, he's not going to see this update at all, and he's never going to know the wiser. But when Redstone comes out, it'll ship. If they do that, obviously we're not saying they are, but that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, what Microsoft could do as well is play the hero in the Redstone kind of way to go, with Redstone, we've improved performance and we've worked really hard behind the scenes and we can now happily announce that Windows 10 will be supported on older handsets. And then everyone's like, oh, Microsoft, we love you, and everybody wins.
Well, there you go. I don't know about that, but actually, if they do the Redstone thing, I actually could see that this being a good compromise in the long run. But until then, I could see why people are upset.
Yeah.
As a part of this, though, Zach, is it worth mentioning, because you just mentioned what if they said more devices are going to be supported?
Yeah.
But we have a story this week that says contrary to that.
Yeah, Microsoft just kind of says no second wave of updates planned, although they are reconsidering the Lumia icon for Windows 10
specifically the Lumia icon.
Only the Lumia icon. This doesn't make sense to me. I was actually supposed to bring this up a minute ago. Microsoft used the excuse of these older handsets are they're slow in performance and all that other stuff. But the Lumia icon, which is the Lumia 930 just with a different name and a few different bands, and the HTC One M8 for Windows aren't getting Windows 10 either. Both of these are for Verizon devices, I believe. So
Verizon.
It's not performance related for everything, it's carrier related as well. But
what a surprise. Verizon roadblocking people. Such a shock.
Yeah, but if they could reconsider the icon, why can't they reconsider the HTC One M8 as well?
Honestly, how long did it take the Lumia icon to get which version? Cyan?
It did take a while.
It took them like a year to get Cyan. I mean, honestly, your Lumia icon's going to be broken in half by the time Verizon puts this through a cycle.
Yeah.
Which is sad. I'm not defending Verizon. I think what they're doing is terrible. I used to be my whole family is with Verizon in America. And when you had an iPhone, which again, remember, Verizon's the company that did not take the iPhone originally, right? That was originally a Sprint exclusive, right?
Mm-hmm. No, AT&T, wasn't it?
Well, it certainly wasn't Verizon. In the States, I know it wasn't Verizon. The first company that had it was not Verizon. So they're slow on updates. When I would go in there to look at Windows phones, and they're known for telling people to go elsewhere and that sort of thing. And so that happens. So they got exclusivity for the icon, but then didn't market it correctly. So why would I trust that they're going to push Windows 10 Mobile on this thing? They've shown no evidence that they're going to support Microsoft.
Oh, I just ruined the entire OneNote. Oops.
What did you do?
I don't know. I moved something. Hold
on. Oh, just don't touch anything.
All right, you fix it. I'm going to say something. Apparently in America, carriers are like a religion. So if you're on one carrier, it's really difficult to leave that carrier.
Well, you sign what they do in the States. Not everyone, and before I get people saying, "Oh, I don't do that. I buy my phone." I know you can, but a lot of people, they buy their phone on a contract. So the iPhone 6 will come out of the 7 or whatever, and it'll cost like $600 or $700. But it'll be, if you sign a 2-year agreement with Sprint, which I think they do this in England, but people actually do it in America. They say if you sign a 2-year agreement, you only have to pay us $200.
No, this exists in the UK as well, but
right.
I know more people who just pay as you go than...
Right, and that's what I mean. It happens in both countries, but I think it happens more in America, and that gives carriers more power.
Right. It's like, I mean, I would never...
There's massive cancellation fees, and it's very common for people. There's some phones you can get for free. Right. Because you sign up for that, which again...
But technically it's not free, is it? Because you're paying via the contract.
Well, I would also point out if you add up your... but in any event, you're right. But it actually happens in America, whereas opposed to England, it's an option, but not as common.
Yeah, like I would never sign a contract for a mobile phone operator. I've always bought my phones outright. Every phone I've ever owned, I have bought outright, and I've just used a SIM from any old carrier. I can swap. I swapped between carriers so many times. I was on Virgin Mobile, I was on T-Mobile, Vodafone, O2 for the longest, and now I'm on giffgaff. I've been through the whole shebang, and I can just jump freely between them whenever I want. I've carried my number over, etc., etc. I've had new numbers. It's so easy here to not be part of
I'm shifting that way as well. I'm in a contract now, and as soon as it's up, I'm not doing that.
You just pay more. Like my girlfriend, she's on EE. She's on a contract. She pays. A lot of people are on EE contracts, actually. I know loads of people who aren't on contracts, but I also know loads of people who are, and most of them are EE contracts because they were brought in after the T-Mobile and Orange deal thing that happened. The EE contract my girlfriend's on, I think it's like £41 a month.
Oh.
Or £35 a month. One of the two.
That's dreadful.
It's really bad, but it was for the iPhone 5C as well, which she had to pay. Oh. She had to pay like £80 for on top of, out there. And it was she's got like 2 gigabytes of internet. And unlimited text and I think limited minutes as well. That's an awful deal. Whereas on giffgaff, I paid £20 a month, non-contract, so I haven't signed anything. I'd have to keep paying for 2 years. Yeah, non-contract, and I get unlimited everything.
Yeah, my fiance did the same thing. She was on. Their logo is red.
Vodafone.
Yeah, she was on Vodafone. It was like £30 or £40.
It's outrageous. Really bad.
And now she pays, it's like 15 or 12 quid on giffgaff.
giffgaff is the best in the
And
world.
We're not sponsored by it. No. Like, we don't get money from anyone.
I'd
take it if they offered it. But
I don't know the developer of the Windows Phone app, but we've spoken quite a few times. And I don't know if I can... Yeah, the giffgaff is a carrier for everybody. They are supporting...
It's a sponsorship, Zach. Go call them.
Windows Phone and Android and iOS. But they're like an open company that are like, yeah, we're run by the people. If you want something and it gets... You know what they use? They use a user voice. Have you seen the user voices that Microsoft has? So you can like upvote features and stuff. They use one of them for the carrier. So they're like, if you want certain features coming to carrier support here, just upvote it here and then we'll do it for you. So that's really quite cool how they do it. Yeah. Again, not sponsored. That's just, they're pretty cool.
That's it's actually their opinion. Because if they're paying us, man, who knows what we'll be saying.
This episode is sponsored by... No, it's not.
Anyway. Oh, someday. Anyway, we should probably move on. I did a poll this week.
This poll.
But this poll specifically, if you're in the comments, which, by the way, there are a lot of comments and there are a lot of votes. But it has been revealed that some of these votes are not accurate.
Don't worry, though. We have the original votes.
The poll this week is on, are you happy with the launch of Windows 10 Mobile? And it's specifically on the launch cycle, the things that we've talked about. Certain devices not being supported, how it was kind of segmented, how it was released, because some devices got it and then it officially came later to other ones. That whole shebang, obviously, we just ran through it. We did votes, I'm not going to lie. We had, I think, like thousands of votes that are... Someone just kept clicking the yes button. So I'm not going to tell you what it's at now because I'm sure it's completely
What
irrelevant.
is that? I want to know what's the vote.
It's at 4,300 votes now, which is actually not.
Are you sure we were
like,
hacked? I don't know if we were. Maybe it was just a super popular poll.
Yeah, but I don't know. At one point, no, actually, the poll was taken down by Straw and then re-put back up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was checking because someone told me that it got hacked. Zetrosoft let me know, and then I went and then I tweeted Ben about it, and his response wasn't like, "Oh no, it wasn't." It was, "Hey, this is a way to counteract it." And so, anyway, the point is, at the moment, it's 70-30, saying that 70% saying that they're happy with the launch. But the last time I checked it before this spamming scare, it was literally 50-50 right down the line.
Right, so that's your answer, 50-50.
Yeah, so to me, it was 1,400 plus votes. It was still 50-50. I have no way of knowing if the current poll is legitimate or not. So I'm going to go with it was a 50-50 split. Zach, are you happy with the launch cycle of Windows 10 Mobile?
I'm not happy with how Microsoft has pushed it out currently.
Yeah. I'm going to say I'm not angry about it. And there are some people like calling Microsoft liars and their headlines are about, broken promises. And like, I'm not going to go that far. I'm not angry, but you've shown me the light enough to say I can see where you're coming from. I'm not happy with it, but I'm not angry either. So one thing that we should talk about on this before we transition is, Zach, do you think they should have made this a bigger deal? Should they have marketed this more? Because I've seen no publicity for this.
I think they've done this on purpose. This goes back to the whole, they're not marketing the new Lumia handsets because they're not ready to. Windows 10 Mobile is not ready to be that marketed in that way. Same story here, really. I doubt you'll see any adverts about Windows 10 Mobile rolling out, any of its new features, all that good stuff. They're not even pushing it out. You have to tick a box to make it happen on your phone. So normal people aren't going to get Windows 10 Mobile via this method. Microsoft doesn't want people looking at Windows 10 Mobile right now. They're focused on the desktop. Windows 10 Mobile is for later in the game, as I've said many times. This is all part of their master plan, air quotes. But yeah, I don't think they should have. I think this is all what they should be doing right now. They should be downplaying a lot of their mobile stuff until it's ready for prime time.
Yeah. I have an update that I can't verify, but someone said that Gabe said that Redstone, unsupported devices won't get Redstone through the Insider program, according to Gabe.
Yeah.
So I can't verify that. But like you said, anyway, I just wanted to put that out there because it's related. But yeah, I agree with you. They didn't market this. They're kind of hiding it. They're kind of shuffling it under the rug.
Yeah. This mobile build thing, we've already spoken about that, so we don't need to do that now.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah, it's our Windows 10 Mobile special, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Zach, we actually have some Windows 10 Mobile news that's not operating system related. And you and I differ on this a little bit, opinion-wise. What are your thoughts on the Twitter app for Windows 10 Mobile?
It sucks. It really does. This isn't a new app either. This app's been available on desktops for a while. It's just now available for phones. This app isn't the best. I mean, it looks lovely, I admit. It's a very good looking app, especially on phablets. It's got a nice sidebar and everything. It doesn't support a few Windows 10 features that I think are a requirement, such as actionable notifications, so I can't reply to a tweet wherever I am in the system. And it also doesn't support profile pictures in tweets, in notifications. So when someone messages me, it doesn't show me their little face. It just shows me a picture of the Twitter icon. Like, wow, yeah, thanks. But Tweetium does. Tweetium is more feature-filled. I don't know, does it support polls, the new app?
I've not tried a poll yet. I don't know. I know it supports a lot of those Twitter features like quote tweet support, timeline, conversation support, but I don't know about polls.
Well,
I'll see if I can find it.
I don't think it's that good of an app. It looks nice, but that's it.
I would agree with you that it looks nice. Here's the thing. Windows 10 or Windows 8.1's version of Twitter was so bad that I think the reason I like the new Windows 10 mobile app is because it supports things that are a given when you're on your computer or another type of phone. GIF or GIF support, conversation threads, quote tweet. Those are things that have been on Twitter for months, and they're finally on Windows 10 mobile. So for me on my phone, when you shared a GIF this week. I'm gonna say GIF. I don't care.
It's GIF. Don't even start. It's GIF.
In any event, you shared a GIF this week to make you happy. About Windows 10 Mobile's not launched. Now what? And it was from Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
And the guys are in the water. I could actually see that on my device because of this update, whereas before I could not.
Well, if you used Twidium, you could have seen it.
Well, but I don't use. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really use third-party apps anymore. So, but the thing is, like, we were so deprived of some of these standard window or Twitter features that it's like it's such a relief to have them that I'm happier with it than I was before. But you're right. You can't. If I open the Twitter app now, let me see here. There are some things that you can't do that everyone should be able to do on Twitter. You can't swipe between the menus. Remember how you used to be able to do that?
Yeah.
And changing your user account. Like if I want to change from my WinBeta Tech one to my sports one.
No, you can do that.
Go into profiles.
Yeah.
And then I have to hit a button. And then I have to change my profile, and then I have to hit home to get back to my other timeline. So, like, you're right. That part of it's atrocious. I can't believe that they didn't think that through. But maybe because of how bad the old one was, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's a better app than the 8.1 app, but it's not as good as other third-party apps.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I am using it again, because I did use the Twitter app on 8.1 over Tweetium. I switched to Tweetium because I enjoyed the actionable notifications. But I'm going to live without it for now, I think.
Yeah, I guess I would agree with you. It's not great. It is better than what we had before. So I'm glad to see the improvement. But as you pointed out on Twitter, some people were saying, "Oh, those features will be added over time." The Windows 10 Twitter app has been out since like last summer, and they still haven't added actionable notifications.
Nope, they have not.
So who knows? They must be pretty complicated.
I don't know if they are. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not a developer.
I would love to just be able to reply to, like, you get a tweet, actionable notification, reply to the tweet.
I just hope the Facebook Messenger app for Windows 10 has actionable notifications.
Well, is it being made by Microsoft or Facebook?
I don't know. Facebook.
If it's made by Microsoft, I bet you it'll have it.
Facebook. I think it's Facebook.
Well, then I doubt it will. No offense to Facebook, but like, learning a new app design language. And
it has to. It's a Messenger app. It has to have that. If it doesn't, then it sucks.
Well, yeah, but I'm not going to be surprised if it doesn't.
I hate everything.
Anyway, all right. So we have some other news. This is kind of like the app gap. I wanted to do a series on this at one point, and I was going to call it App Gap Recap. So there you go. I can do that now because we run the podcast. The App Gap Recap. There was a scare that Spotify was going to no longer be supported, but I guess we don't have to worry about that anymore. It says they're going to continue supporting Windows Phone 8.1. Let's get a quote here. To clarify our recent information regarding the Windows Phone experience, we will continue supporting the Windows Phone 8.1 experience moving forward, and we are actually improving our support for Windows 10 in our coming update 5.2, which will be available starting today. So there you go. There's more information on the Spotify app. You can read about it. The point is that there was a bit where we were worried we weren't going to have Spotify, but apparently that scare is not as justified. So there's that.
Yeah.
You know what job I think I could do, Zach?
What?
Like, whatever the title for the job is, where people ask you questions online and you just respond.
Yeah.
Like customer support, but like for tech things.
Social media you could do.
I could do that because you can make up whatever you want. They'll be like, there's no app coming. Oh, we're cutting support for Windows. And then like 2 days later, they're like, no, we're not. And then other dude's like, I still have a job. Don't know what I'm doing. Like, how can you sit there and be like, yeah, we're cutting support for an entire platform, and they're like, just kidding, lols, we're not doing that. It's how I don't understand how these people are getting paid.
No, it's probably miscommunication. I don't think they make it up. I think they just think they know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, I feel like you get these all the time where it's like, so someone on Reddit will be like, oh, a Microsoft support person. I'm like, mate, just stop right now.
Yeah.
Because that person has no clue what they're talking about sometimes.
Although sometimes they do. Like when the...
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
950 XL, when that came out, there were questions as to whether the 950 XL in Europe would be dual SIM or single SIM. Because in the US, it's dual SIM. Microsoft support told me it would be single SIM, and they were right, which was surprising.
Like it's not like some of the time they don't know what they're talking about. Other times, they do. Anyway, last thing. Do you care that Here Maps is going away? Newsflash, Here Maps is going away. Do you care?
No.
Yeah, me either.
And that's the end of the podcast.
Are there any commenters who are actually, like any viewers right now, honestly, comment, tweet us, whatever. Are you actually upset that Here Maps is going away? I feel like over the last few months we've found replacements for that work better.
I'm sure there are
the Map app, which is powered by Here, isn't it?
Yeah. Here Data.
So, there you go. Maps. Well, that's it for the podcast then. This has been the WinBeta podcast, episode 57, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. For the week of March 18th, 2016, with me, as always, co-host Zach. You can find Zach on Twitter.
At ZachB_.
Did you see how I left out the @ so you could say it?
Yes.
There you go.
Clever.
You find me on Twitter at Sean_Michael_UK. You find WinBeta on Twitter at WinBeta.org. Find us on Google+. Do all sorts of fun things like that. YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes. Tweet us. Let us know. Obviously, we're building up to, not next week, but the week after is build. So, obviously, there's going to be lots of news coming up. So make sure to tune back in, and we will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.